children. So let's explain the formation of secondary minima first. A brilliant scientist named Fresnel studied more about the diffraction pattern. He divided the slit into small parts and studied it very vigorously and summed up contributions from all the elements. Okay, so here also, in order to explain the formation of secondary maxima and minima, we are going to divide the slit AB into small portions. Fresnel, using his calculation, found that secondary minima occurred at theta equal to n lambda by a, where a is the width of this slit and theta is this angle. Okay, and also if we draw a normal from A to this line, this normal meets at n, and if this angle is theta, and we have calculated path difference P is equal to Bn, that is equal to A sine theta, isn't it? So Fresnel, using his calculation, found out that secondary minima occurred at theta equal to n lambda by a, where n is equal to plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, etc. Plus or minus 1 means on either side of the plus indicates to the right of the central maximum and minus indicate to the left of the central maximum. That's it. Okay. Now, if n is equal to 1, theta is equal to lambda by a. N equal to 1 represents the first secondary minima, isn't it? If we consider this as our central maxima, and on either side of the central maxima, intensity pattern or the waves goes on like this. So n equal to 1 corresponds to this position, this or this. Okay, that is first secondary minima. So first secondary minima is obtained or observed at theta is equal to lambda by a. Here also at theta is equal to lambda by a. There the first secondary minima is observed. And why minima is observed there when theta is equal to lambda by d? Why minima is occurring there? So in order to explain that, he divided the slit into two equal halves. Okay, so here if we divide the slit AB into two equal halves, what happens? So the slit AB is divided into two equal halves, and consider any point C1 in the first half and consider any point C2 in the second half. Okay, so each point on the slit act as a source of waves, that is Huygens principle. So here C1 and C2 on the slit acts as a source of waves, and the waves generated from the point C1 and C2 will be out of phase. Okay, if the waves are out of phase, their total contribution will be 0 because they will cancel out. So the waves generated from C1 and C2 will be out of phase and cancel out on reaching the screen. So if the contribution from the waves is 0, then the intensity on the screen also will be 0. So darkness is obtained on the screen. And if we consider another point C2 on the upper half of the slit, there will be a corresponding point. If we consider a point C3 on the upper half of the slit, there is a corresponding point C4 in the lower half, such that the contribution from C3 is cancelled out by the contribution of C4. That means the waves generated from C3 and C4 will be out of phase and their total contribution will be cancelled out, and the net effect is darkness is obtained on the screen. Okay. Similarly, if n is equal to 2, theta is equal to 2 lambda by a. So in this case, the slit will be divided into 4 equal parts. So when the slit is divided into 4 equal parts, what happens? See, this is the slit AB, and we are dividing the slit into 4 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what happens if we consider some points in each of the slit? See, consider the point C1 here. So corresponding to this point C1, there will be another point C1 dash in the second half of the slit. And correspondingly, if we consider any point C2 here, there will be a corresponding point C2 dash in the lower half of this slit. So what happens? The contributions from C1 and C1 dash will be out of phase. So they will cancel out. Similarly, the contributions from C2 and C2 dash will be out of phase, and their contribution will be 0. Okay, so the net effect is darkness is obtained on the screen. So darkness means minima. So hence minima is obtained on the screen when theta is equal to n lambda by A. So this is the condition for minima, secondary minima in diffraction pattern, and Fresnel has calculated, Fresnel has found out this expression through rigorous calculations. Okay, so this is the explanation for secondary minima on the screen. Now we can just explain the reason for the occurrence of secondary maxima on the screen. Secondary maxima. So Fresnel, using his calculations, found that secondary maxima occurs at theta equal to n plus half lambda by A. N plus half lambda by A. So if n is equal to 1, theta is equal to 3 by 2 lambda by A. So the first secondary maxima is observed for theta equal to 3 by 2 lambda by A. So if theta is equal to 3 by 2 lambda by A, we need to divide the slit into 3 equal parts. Okay, so when theta was just lambda by A, we divided the slit into 2 equal halves. But here theta is equal to 3 by 2 lambda by A. So in such case, the slit is divided into 3 equal parts. So divide the slit AB into 3 equal parts. 1, 2 and 3. So here what happens? If we consider a point C1 here, there will be a corresponding point C1 dash in the lower half of the slit. So the contributions from the C1 and C1 dash will be out of phase and it will be cancelled out. But at the same time, 1/3 of the slit is here, and here also so many points are there which gives rise to waves, isn't it? And to cancel the contributions of these waves, there are not any points present in the lower half of the slit, isn't it? So to cancel out the contributions of the points present in this part of the slit, there are corresponding points in the next half of the slit. So the contributions from all the points in these two halves will be cancelled out. See, if we consider another point C2 here, there will be corresponding point C2 dash, and the contributions from C2 and C2 dash will be cancelled out because they are out of phase. But if we consider the lower half of the slit, that means this is the 1/3 of the slit, their contributions cannot be cancelled out because there are no pairs for the elements in this part of the slit to cancel their contributions. So this part of the slit contributes to the intensity. Okay, so 1/3 of the slit contributes to intensity when theta equal to 3 by 2 lambda by A. So some bright pattern is obtained on the screen because waves from 1/3 of the slit reach on the screen. So brightness is obtained, and this will be the first secondary maximum. Now suppose n is equal to 2. When n is equal to 2, theta will be equal to 5 by 2 lambda by A. So when theta is equal to 5 by 2 lambda A, now in order to explain the secondary maxima formation for this angle, divide the slit into 5 equal parts. So the slit AB is divided into 5 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so slit has been divided into 5 equal parts. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happens? See, if we consider point C1 here, there will be a corresponding point C1 dash here. So their contributions will be cancelled out. Similarly, if we consider another point C2 here, there will be corresponding point C2 dash in the next half. So their contributions will be cancelled out. Similarly, if we consider these two halves, their contributions will also be cancelled out, because corresponding to each point in the third part of the slit, there will be similar points on the next half of the slit to cancel their contributions. But if we consider this part of the slit, this is 1/5 of the slit, waves will be generated, or waves will be traveling from this 1/5 part of the slit, and there are no pairs to cancel the contributions of these waves. So these waves will reach the screen and contributes to the brightness. Okay, so secondary maxima is obtained on the screen. So when theta is equal to 5/2 lambda by a, secondary maxima is obtained. But what is the problem? Here 1/3 of the slit contributes to the brightness, but here only 1/5 of the slit contributes to the brightness or intensity. So the intensity pattern formed by 1/3 of the slit will be more than the intensity contributed by the 1/5 of the slit, because you know 1/3 is greater than 1/5. So the intensity or the brightness contributed by this 1/3 of the slit will be more than the brightness contributed by 1/5 of the slit. Similarly, when n is equal to 3, theta is equal to 3 plus 1/2 is 7/2 lambda by a. In this case, we will divide the slit into 7 equal parts. So divide the slit into 7 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, so corresponding to each point in the first half, there will be similar points on the second half. So their contributions will be cancelled out. And here corresponding to each point in this part of the slit, there will be corresponding points on the next half, so their contributions will be cancelled out. Again, these two halves forms a pair and their contributions will be cancelled out. Finally, 1/7 of the slit is free and waves will be originating from 1/7 part of the slit, and there are no pairs for the elements in this part of the slit to cancel out their contribution. So waves from this 1/7 part of the slit will reach the screen and contributes to the brightness. But again, only 1/7 part of the slit is contributing to the brightness. So again, the intensity will decrease. So the intensity pattern of 1/3 of the slit will be greater. Again, the intensity pattern generated by 1/5 of the slit will be less, it decreases, and again the intensity pattern generated by 1/7 of the slit decreases. So the intensity of the secondary maxima goes on decreasing. Okay, so that's why the diffraction pattern looks like this. First we have a central maximum, and on either side of the central maximum we have secondary maxima with decreasing intensity, because soon after the central maximum, 1/3 of the slit contributes to the brightness, and after that only 1/5 of the slit is contributing the brightness, and after that only 1/7 of the slit is contributing to the brightness. So that's why as we move away from the central maxima, the intensity of the secondary maxima goes on decreasing like this. Okay, so this was the explanation provided by Fresnel for the observation of secondary maxima and secondary minima. So in order to give an explanation for the secondary maxima and minima, the Fresnel divided the slit AB into small parts and summed up the contributions from all the elements in each part of that slit. Okay, next we can find out the expression for this width of the central maximum. So next we can find out the width of central maxima. This is our central maximum and this is the slit AB. you can see angle theta. Theta is the angle subtended on the secondary minima, isn't it? Because soon after the central maxima comes our secondary minima. This is the secondary minima. So theta is the angle subtended on the secondary minima. And what is the condition for minima as suggested by Fresnel? Theta is equal to n lambda by a. So here this theta is equal to n lambda by a because this is the angle subtended at the minima. So what will be this width of the central maximum? Width can be of two types. There can be a linear width for the central maximum like this, and there can be an angular width like this. So angular width will be equal to theta plus theta because our central maximum subtends this whole angle, isn't it? This whole angle is subtended by our central maximum. So the angular width of central maximum is theta plus theta, that is equal to 2 theta equal to 2 into n lambda by a. Theta is n lambda by a. But here theta is the angle subtended on the first secondary maxima, isn't it? This is the first secondary maxima coming soon after the central maximum. So here n is equal to 1. N equal to 1 means first secondary maxima. So here n is equal to 1. When n equal to 1, we will get angular width is equal to 2 lambda by a. So the angular width of the central maximum is 2 lambda by a. Then what is the linear width? So this will be the linear width, distance between two secondary minimas. So this distance, this separation will be the linear width of the secondary maximum. And in order to get an expression for this fringe width or for this linear width, here we can use the fringe width, we can use the linear width. So the linear width of secondary maximum is linear width. It is denoted by beta and it is equal to, in order to obtain an expression for beta, we must use the arc radius relation. If we consider this portion as an arc, and if we consider this is the angle subtended by that arc, we can write angle. This is the whole angle subtended by this arc. So angle 2 theta is equal to arc length. What is arc length? Arc length is beta divided by radius. Radius means this distance. So this is the distance between screen and the slit. And the distance between screen and the slit is capital D. Even though this distance is capital D, but we can consider this distance as approximately equal to capital D. So beta by capital D. Therefore, beta is equal to capital D into 2 theta. So this is the expression for beta. So the linear width of central maximum is capital D into 2 theta. That is beta equal to capital D into 2 into theta is lambda by a. When we put n is equal to 1 here, we will get lambda by a. So what is beta? Beta is equal to 2d lambda by a, where d is the distance between the screen and the slit and a is the width of the slit. If we consider AB as the slit, this width is the a. Okay, so this is the linear width of central maximum and this is the angular width of central maximum, 2 theta, 2 lambda by a, and this is 2d lambda by a. So children, that's all about the indifference pattern and diffraction pattern. So with this I am concluding this session and also I am concluding this chapter. Notes of the topic and YouTube video have been uploaded. Just go through it. We will meet in the next session. Till then, take care all of you. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.